Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to the audience across the globe. I am Anand Muralidharan. I'm based out of Silicon Valley. I'm super thrilled to be part of this event, Think Global Conference. Be talking about one of our favorite subjects on building the go-to-market strategy from my side and the company I'm running, which is Iconic Mindset. The key focus of what we do in our work with startups and established companies is helping them build a go-to-market strategy, pivot strategies, growth strategies, and helping them really scale and grow their innovations in the enterprise market. Thanks to Ryan Nelson and the International Trade Council for this incredible opportunity to present our views from Iconic Mindset. And I look forward to spending the next 20-30 minutes and then doing the Q&A as part of this event and answering all your questions during and after the event. Thank you. Like I said in the intro, I live in Silicon Valley and I run my purpose-driven pursuit called Iconic Mindset. And the founding purpose of Iconic Mindset, as you see in the slide, is to really, bridge the gap between enterprises and startups. Enterprises need innovation to thrive. Startups need growth to scale. We bridge the gap between them in a contextually curated fashion. The key is in the emphasis on curating it in a contextual fashion, both for the startups and for the enterprises. Now let's look at the agenda. The agenda is pretty simple. We got two basic items, enterprise startup context and go-to-market strategy. The enterprise go-to-startup context really talks about what has changed in the recent past, in the last 10, 20 years, both in the way enterprises consume, procure technology, and the way startups have, the ecosystem has evolved and changed since the onset of cloud and digital. And what does it mean for startups to really differentiate themselves and grow, and the critical need for building a go-to-market strategy. Now let's move on to the agenda. As I said in the intro, a lot has changed in the way startups are getting formed these days compared to the previous days. Now look at this picture. On the left, you see, Google and its founders, co-founders in their, classical, well-known garage with a pile of, computers and boxes and wires and servers all plugged together. This is obviously before the onset of cloud, where companies had to order hardware, software, integrate them all before they can even write the single line of code, right? Now shift to the right and see the typical startup in these days, and how it really looks. All you need that's after cloud is, founders having an idea across the globe, coming together, starting to build a company within a few minutes with the entire compute and software infrastructure running out of the cloud. This is a great opportunity, right? As much as it is a challenge. Now, because too many companies, can and are solving same and similar use cases, it is extremely difficult for startups to differentiate, and they really have to work hard on that. And obviously, on the other end, for enterprises to really choose and buy that one technology, one company, one solution that's going to make a difference. And because it has become extremely easy to start a company, as we saw in the previous picture, two folks at different parts of the world can really spin off and start a company within seconds. Only a very small percentage of startups go on and become unicorns in public and become really the massive technology global giants that they can, like the likes of Salesforce, Box, Okta, ServiceNow, and the rest of the companies you see here. So what happens to the rest of the companies, right? The rest of the companies unfortunately fail at various levels. They either get sold prematurely, they get sold for a lower valuation, they exit soon, or they lose all the money, right? And it's all over the place in between all the possible combinations we just laid out. And that, for us at Iconic Mindset, it's a failure of innovation and innovation economy to be able to scale and reach the levels that it can really. And our, pursuit and mission is really to help the founders who innovate really creative products and disruptive solutions to reach the potential they can and keep pushing the boundaries, not settle for less. Speaking of settling for less, even before settling for less comes the probabilities of failure. And as you see in this image, years 2 to 8 are significantly critical for startups, and because a significant portion of the startups actually fold and fail during that period. Within that, if you really look between years 2 to 5, you're actually looking at 15 plus percentage of startups failing in these years because of multiple reasons. It's not because of lack of innovation. It's not because of lack of product. It's not because of lack of founders. It's a combination of all of that, plus not being able to, find the right market, differentiate, position the innovations in the right way that you are able to grow to your potential and actually have an understanding of what's your actual target market size is and what's the percentage of the market you can take out of it and how you're going to do it. The absence of that is one of the critical reasons where startups actually fail after innovating and after putting up a solid technology and product teams. But then why do enterprise focused startups fail? Why are they not able to? Is there a need in not? Is there not a need in enterprises for really consume these technologies? As we saw in the then and now slide, starting a startup has become way too easy, right? Along with it comes its own challenges. And some of the challenges that we have listed down here, which are the predominant ones, is startups actually tend to take an inside out view. They approach enterprise customers in a transactional way. They're hoping they will be one and done solutions. What I mean by that is, they want to be the solution that gets adopted across the company. And a lot of it comes because they come out of the license era method, wherein one and done deals where the norm when Oracle, Salesforce, sorry, not Salesforce, Oracle, SAP, TIPCO, some of these old school technologies were bought. They were bought, across the company and deployed as one and done solutions. So that mindset provides a lot. And finally, startups want to be one stop shop, right? That doesn't work for enterprises because if you really look at the right side of the image, enterprises, particularly after cloud and digital, want consultative, solutions, want differentiated and specific value, want companies to come, prove, and grow, and want companies to be strategic and operate on a win-win framework. This obviously, the way startup is approaching this is what enterprise is aspiring to get out of it, is creating a huge wedge. And that wedge is actually growing at the speed of cloud and digital. And that is really not good for both the startup ecosystem as well as for the enterprises. As I said in the beginning, in the founding purpose, enterprises need innovation from startups and startups need growth. So we need to figure out a way to connect these two and bridge the gap, bridge the wedge, and that is through you do that through a solid, well thought out, well brainstormed market definition, go to market strategy, and positioning, and how you're going to differentiate. Now let's move on and see why go to market strategy and how do we do go to market strategy at a high level. What you're seeing on the left is the latest CB Insights report on the top 20 reasons for startups failure. For your convenience, we have actually taken the top 10 reasons among the top 20, which are actually pointing towards somewhere around not having the right product, market, combination of both, and doing the right marketing and growing the business, right? They are like no product need, no market need, running out of cash, not having the right time, getting out competed, pricing and cost issues, product without a business model, poor marketing, ignoring customers, pivot gone bad, and not using the network. I think these are, reasons that actually point towards a lack of clear understanding of the market and a strategy to go and execute against the strategy to grow the business. But then, what do the large companies do? Like, how did Salesforce, growing out of almost 1999, 2000, continues to grow and thrive and gobble other companies like MuleSoft, Slack, Tableau, and whatnot, and grow at the pace and scale at which it's growing at $20+ billion annual revenue and $200 billion market cap. It's, because if you really look at this chart on the left, not just Salesforce, but the likes of Snowflake, Slack, DocuSign, ServiceNow, Zoom, they actually spend more than 50% of their revenue on sales and marketing, right? That's a significant portion of money invested in market activities, all the way from building the brand, building awareness, growing the market, and closing deals and taking care of customers through solid customer success, royalty, and retention. I think that's the key, and it all comes out of, again, going back to the holy grail, which is the phenomenal and solid go-to-market strategy. So what is go-to-market strategy, right? You have product on the left or a service, and it's got features, value prop, and pricing, and you have built all of that in your proverbial garage or lab or house and office, and you want to now take it to the market. Now, what's the market? If you come to the right extreme, the market is, if you take an enterprise market, it comprises of companies, it comprises of customers, prospects. Yeah, there are personas within the enterprise. There are human beings within the enterprise, and there are use cases on which they want to consume these products and services. There is a value prop they are looking at. There is a return on investment they want to achieve out of these investments, and there is a time to value. TTV stands for time to value, in which they want to get the value within a certain period. So if all this criteria fits in, then if you're able to fit in all to the criteria, that's when you really have a product market fit. Now, once you have the product market fit, what you need to build is the pieces in the middle, and that actually is the connecting piece that solves the puzzle, which is called the go-to-market strategy, where you need to figure out, where are you going to sell, right? What's your market? Who are you going to sell to? What is that you want to sell, right? What kind of product? What kind of service? How do you want to bundle it, package it, price it, all of that, right? How does the engagement model contracting look? Why do you want to sell it, and why do they want to buy it? What's the value prop? How are you different? Why do you want to do this rather than doing anything else, right? And finally, the most important question of go-to-market strategy is how do you want to do that? There are multiple ways to go to market. You can go direct to the customer. You can go through your partners. You can get embedded as part of other technology platforms and become part of the overall platform and create technology level partnership, architectural partnership. And so how are you going to do that? And finally, when do you want to do that, right? What is the sequence in which you want to do a lot of these activities to achieve the maximum, growth and scale that you can? This is the holy grail framework of building a go-to-market strategy. When we work with early stage to Series D plus startups across the globe, we use the following framework to build our go-to-market strategy. It all begins with, on the bottom left corner, the target market, defining the target market, and then going on to defining the product market fit for the target market, really saying how does the product really fit and deliver value and how is it differentiated, and then going on and figuring out who is the competition. While there could be tens and hundreds of companies competing in the space overall, really figuring out who are those two or three companies that actually you want to strategically choose and compete with. And then what's the value prop on which you want to compete upon? And the value prop should really tie back to the product fit, and it should actually respond to the competition and the market in a nice way if you really work backwards, the waterfall model, right? And then finally, the top bottom right corner, the go-to-market strategy is the way in which you go to the market and the journey that you're going to take to go to market. And the go-to-market strategy should tie back to the target market through the value proposition, through against the competition, on top of the great product fit to the market that we are wanting to serve. I hope it makes sense. And at the root of it, the way it works is, to begin with, you want to have a solid business strategy and a fundraising plan or a capital, allocation, spend and invest plan on how you're going to really, you know, make this business, grow, scale, survive, and thrive eventually, right? That is at the root of everything you do. And then the next gear is going on and figuring out the market need and the product positioning and the fit of the market through the product market fit gear wheel. And finally, now that you have a solid business plan, strategy, and a fundraising plan and a product market fit, you go on to build a go-to-market strategy where you really figure out the pieces that we spoke about in the previous slide, and then you start executing it. A lot of startups, unfortunately, they skip the go-to-market strategy step, assume the product market fit step, do not do business strategy and fundraising plan, and straight go into execution, which is where a lot of failures unfortunately happen. So why should you do market strategy and execution plan before you start executing? Isn't hustle and grind the best thing to do? And just keep hustling and grinding till the day you figure out how to crack the market code and start growing? Absolutely not. Nothing can be further from the truth. Silicon Valley has created an Hollywood effect of really making heroes out of folks who have grown companies through hustle and grind, to the point that many new age founders and investors believe that strategy is a waste of time and hustle and grind is all that is needed. That's totally not true, because if you really look at the companies that have succeeded and become global product companies and icons and brands, they have all had strategy at the core of it, on top of which they have executed phenomenal hustle and grind and tactics on the ground. We don't for a second say you don't need hustle and grind and tactics to grow. That is more operational and that's extremely needed as you do the market motions. But a company between two companies, the one with the strategy at the core of it and can hustle and grind and be agile will grow much better and much predictable and much faster than a company with no strategy and just depending upon hustle and grind and tactics and making adjustments as it goes. The chances of growing and scaling and becoming an iconic brand are higher in the previous category, where there is strategy at the core and then there is hustle and grind on top of it. Quote, famous quote: "Strategy with tactics without tactics is slow victory. Tactics without strategy is sure defeat." So I hope this has given you enough insights, data points, and reasons, and also business case for really investing and doing solid go-to-market strategy, market definition, and growth plan before actually starting the execution and doing the hustle and grind. I'd like to once again thank all for the opportunity and for your time. And this has been phenomenal to interact with you virtually. And I would love to, look at your questions and then answer them to the best of the ability that we can. And I would love to also continue the conversation beyond this. If you can connect with me, I would just put my connects on the next slide, my email IDs and my QR code for LinkedIn. Would love to continue to connect and stay because it's through human connection and network and knowing who does what best is how we all grow. So would love to be part of your journey, part of your mission and part of your large aspiration to grow your companies and, be a small cog in the wheel and make an impact that we can, if we can. Yeah. Thank you and happy growing all of you. Like I said, here are my contacts, my email ID, and my QR code for LinkedIn. Thank you once again. I cannot wait to hear your biggest opportunities, startup dreams, aspirations, and challenges, and solve problems and harness opportunities collaboratively. Let's continue to grow the startup ecosystem globally and help innovation economy thrive and become more and more relevant and valuable for enterprises. Cheers. And now on to questions. Thank you, guys.